Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. We have a part two for you with Uncle James Ali Bashir. 52 years in the sport of boxing, heavyweight boxing, we're talking. So,
53.
Are we going to say 53? Are you 53 yet? Is it 53 yet? Or are we
Um,
tempting fate here?
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it's got to be 53. My mind keeps saying 53. It could be 53.
Is it 53 now or becoming 53?
I think it's 53. I think it's 53 now. I think September be 54.
Jeez. Well, okay. 53. I stand corrected. 53 years of boxing knowledge. So let's get into this, Uncle. We left off yesterday.
Boxing now, era past. An era that most of the people in boxing now can't even imagine. Can't even imagine about the talent of fighters that people will never get to hear about or ever get to see. You know, it's the era past. Like people say about opponents. Without
Mhm.
without opponents, there couldn't be no real champions.
You're right.
And most of those champions can tell you a story about an opponent that was kicking their asses, or an opponent that was kicking their asses in the gyms, or about an opponent who didn't make it for this reason or for that reason, that was really, really armed with knowledge about how to apply the sport. So, yeah, opponents makes the difference.
Okay. Okay. Um, I want to go back to my point we spoke about just coming to the end of our show, where it comes back. Good evening, weather, events, and fire. We were talking about um, Robert Garcia saying that Anthony Joshua had a mental problem. Um, do you want to expand on that any further? We ended on that.
No, I don't have anything else to say about it. I do think that that Garcia might have let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Um, but he shouldn't say those kind of things about his fighter.
Don King made a very interesting assessment about Eddie Hearn as a promoter. He says that as a promoter, he's lost a lot of money through bad matchups with fighters, and ultimately afterwards, he has taken a shine off a lot of fighters. And he said that a lot of fighters could have made a lot more money and could be in bigger fights, basically, but Hearn messed it all up. Your thoughts?
That's what Don said about Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know from one point to another. I don't know, but I do know that Don would know. He's the master promoter. Love him or hate him, he's the master promoter, and nobody put on a show the way Don King did.
I want to add this in with you because AJ was fighting on Sky Sports. That was the deal that was going on for a while, and now he signed £100 million deal now, and signed with DAZN, or as Bob Arum calls it, Dead Zone. Because he signed with DAZN, and that's 100 million. Does that affect a fighter's appetite? Because you can say, well, you know what? If I lose this fight, doesn't matter. I got 100 million in the bank. Or can a fighter still be motivated with that kind of money?
Depends on the human being. You take guys like Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. It didn't affect them. They made big money then in that era, but it did not affect their appetite to win. Floyd Mayweather, it did not affect his appetite to win, even though he had the money in the bank. It did not affect his appetite to win, to dig down. When Shane Mosley hit him, Mayweather was getting paid millions of dollars. He could have easily folded, but he stayed in there. He stayed in the saddle and he fought through the stiff legs and the day's state, and he came back to win. So it depends on the human being.
Kubrat Pulev says that Usyk will KO Joshua this time, and he says he'll KO not so special Joshua.
Pulev had been in there with Joshua. You know, it looked to me like Pulev was trying to quit in that fight. You know, so I don't know. Maybe that's more about spilled beans than anything else.
Okay.
I would say that he was going to KO Joshua, or that Joshua was going to KO him. I think that's going to be a good fight. I think that Joshua's back is to the wall. And because his back is to the wall, we may see the best Joshua yet in this upcoming fight.
Really? What would make you suggest that would be the best Joshua, based on the fact that he struggles? Well, mentally, there's a question mark.
Well, you know, I think that, you know, you see a different human being when you put a person in a corner, back him up into a corner where he can't go he can't go back. He just got to come forward. Sometimes, you know, in many cases, you'll get the best of that human being. And Joshua is in such a position right now where he has to come forward.
Yeah, but you're putting his back against the wall against a superior human being in terms of ability. This isn't a case of David and Goliath, and Goliath not being able to think.
I understand all of that. I understand all of that. But again, you know, you've painted Joshua has painted himself into a corner. You know, and he's backed up as far as he can go back. He's got to come forward. So sometimes, you know, when you put a human being in that position, you'll get the best that you've ever seen. He's got to dig down. He's got to come back, and he's got to win. He's in a must-win situation.
Okay.
Must-win situation. He's got to win.
Let's go there. Let's go with the elephant in the room. Okay. Why wasn't Uncle James Bashir selected? Many people will ask. Well, it goes further back. Why wasn't Uncle James Bashir selected to be Klitschko's trainer? You know, why aren't you working with the word's not established, but why are you not working with a household name? Why are you not working with one of the best fighters in the world? Why is it that when the fighters, particularly in heavyweight division, why is your name not being brought up? The question, why all these other trainers that have got lesser experience being mentioned? Why is it the case that people will throw other people's names in the room, but yet they know that you're probably the best man for the job? Why is that, do you think?
I think a lot of times, a lot of fighters don't want my kind of trainer. The name of my company is Precision Craft. You know, I'm a precise kind of guy. I'm a punctual kind of guy, and I don't leave no T's uncrossed, no dies, no dots, no I's undotted. You know, I'm gonna push the individual that I'm with, and a lot of times, boxers don't want that. They just don't want that. They don't want nobody that's gonna be precise as I am. You know, and sometimes it makes them uncomfortable. See, what people don't understand about boxing, a lot of boxers like to dictate the terms in by which they want to be trained. I think it's a 50-50 thing. I think that there has to be some room for the boxer to exercise his thoughts, and some room for the trainer to exercise his thought. And at the end of the day, the trainer wins it out. You know.
Let's flip this on its head. Let's look at it, the common misconceptions about yourself, things that you may have heard about yourself on you know, in across social media, misconceptions about yourself, things you've read about yourself. What do you think? If people were, yeah, Yeah, what do you think?
I think that I can train any fighter that's going to listen.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to embrace what I'm teaching, if
Mm-hmm.
they're going to live by that, I think that I'm a good man for the job.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is the misconceptions. Why do people think you're not good for the job? Or why do people think that you're not suitable? Or why do people not select Uncle James Ali Bashir when it's clear as day that you should be selected? What other misconceptions do you think?
I can't say. I don't know what they could be thinking, or what they could be seeing, or what they could be hearing.
Okay, let's try one. Let's throw one out. Oh, he's old fashioned. He's old schooled. He doesn't do the new school stuff.
Oh well, yeah. If that's they say, yeah, I am old school, because nobody can prove that new school is the better way of doing things. New schools, there's no proof that new school. In fact, if you compare new school to old school, why is it that the old school fighters have so many more fights than the new school fighters? New school fighter have 30, 40 fights he's done.
One would say, well, a new school fight doesn't have to fight as much to make as much money to be comfortable.
A lot of them get out before that time, though. They just don't want to be under the gun. They don't want to be under. They don't want. It's hard. It's difficult to get the modern fighter to see things the proper way inside that ring. I try to prepare a fighter for every angle, every what if moment. I try to prepare them psychologically and physically. That one if moment, So that's what I am. If I'm old school, I'm old school.
Okay, so another thing, again, will probably get
Oh,
thrown up. Oh, go ahead, Uncle.
Eddie Futch was old school. Emmanuel Stewart was old school. So that can't be the reason, because they were old school guys too.
Okay, so we'll put that to one side. So I'm throwing misconception. Oh, he doesn't do the pads. He doesn't do the pad work like Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's uncle did, or he don't do the pads like that, for example. Isn't
What?
it might be something they may throw at you.
Okay, all right. But what does that have to do with the art of boxing?
Well, you tell that to an uneducated boxer who actually believes that pad work is going to further their career.
And nobody can ever point out to me what boxer uses that technique in the ring.
People
Again,
say, well, people say Floyd does that. That's why Floyd's unbeaten. But we know that's not quite true.
Floyd don't do that in the ring. Floyd doesn't do that in the ring. That style suited Floyd Mayweather. And most of the other people who tried that style got their asses.
Absolutely.
The same thing with Roy Jones and Muhammad Ali. People try to emulate those styles, and they get their ass
knocked out. Why do they get knocked out?
because the style was made for Roy Jones. The style was made for Muhammad Ali. The style was made for Floyd Mayweather. Those are the people who's the author of those styles and who could best promote those styles. Everybody else gets their ass whooped.
Mm-hmm. Good evening, Leif. Leif says, Emmanuel Stewart got deserved respect, but James Ali Bashir doesn't always get the respect, even though Stewart needed Bashir.
Yeah, Emmanuel had me there a long time. I worked with him a long time, but Emmanuel wasn't no fool. Emmanuel recognized my skill, my knowledge of boxing, and that's why he aligned himself with me. That's why I stayed there for 17 years. Nobody thinks about that I was there with him so long. He valued my knowledge. He valued my application. He valued me as a human being, as a boxing expert. That's why I was there so long.
Do you think it's because you are a square, and because you're a square, you can't fit into a circle, and that's why you don't get yourself into certain positions? you're not prepared to do certain things, therefore you will
Oh,
not
oh,
get that.
if they mean I'm not prepared to kiss ass, yeah, they're definitely right.
Well, this is where I'm going, but I want you to kind of lead the way in the conversation. But yeah,
No,
that's square in that circle.
no, I'm not
That's
gonna. I'm not gonna kiss nobody's ass. I love boxing, and right now I'm training a group of kids. You know, I got a group of kids, two guys, three guys, and a little girl, and I get just as much enjoyment out of going to train those children every day. But I'm not kissing no ass. I'm not. I don't want nobody to come in and dictate how to train a boxer. Somebody who has no idea about how to train a boxer is going to tell me how to train. No, I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass. I'm not going to foot shuffle to somebody, tap dance. No,
got tapped out. I know where you're going with that. I know where you're going with that, and I can actually visualize certain people shuffling and doing all that stuff in my mind. Names come to mind straight away. Trainers come along.
at the end of the day, I want to be happy about what I did. You know, my mom used to say, she said, son, when you go to bed at night, when you go to bed, you're supposed to go to bed to sleep. But your conscience is not supposed to be watching your brain.
Now, let me throw this at you. My grandmother said to me that Ingram, if you're going to kiss ass, kick it harder later. I never subscribed to that, but she said, kiss ass, but make sure you kick it harder later. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I heard some people in my family say that they kiss ass until you can kick it, but doesn't settle well with me. I just,
It's something, but so, okay. So now, because you don't
I'm
kiss
just,
ass, okay, tell me in your words, what kissing ass looks like from the eyes of James Ali Bashir. Through your eyes, what is what is
that
kissing ass?
to me is saying yes when you know it should be no. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been with different fighters in different corners, and the fighter will say something that's clearly wrong, and then you'll have people there at his feet saying, "Yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right," for to earn the money or to earn favor. You know, no. I tell them no, it's not right. That's not the right way.
I remember we did I know we did an interview recently, not too long ago, and you slipped in an absolute nugget of actually, it was absolutely golden gem. You said it, and I thought he didn't say that, did he? It was when you said to me that you were offered the opportunity to turn on Vladimir Klitschko. Literally, live, you said it that somebody offered you the
Yeah.
opportunity to turn on Vladimir Klitschko.
Yes. And I
And you
told them no, not for all the money in the world. No, I would never do it because I'm
were you
loyal. I'm loyal to Vladimir Klitschko. I'm loyal to
were,
him.
were
And
you were you were
I'm loyal
you
to Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko. I'm loyal to them. You can't pay me. You can't pay me enough money to do something wrong to them when they've been nothing but good to me. Nothing short of immaculately good to me. I
I
couldn't
know
take
that much.
I couldn't take money to turn on them. No. Yeah. I had
So,
someone invested, you know.
so was it a large sum of money?
It was a considerable amount of money. It was a considerable amount of money.
And to turn on Vladimir would have mean the title could have potentially changed hands. Was it
Potential,
that serious?
potentially, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
And
see that?
I told Latimer. I told Latimer about it. I told him.
See that situation right there. There are situations I've heard in Hollywood, for example. I know it's a different industry, still entertainment, where people have not sold out, and because they've stood strong and by principle, they've been locked out of industry because of that. They've been blacklisted because of that. Do you think that that incident could have blacklisted you in boxing?
No, I don't think that. I don't think that went any further than the person that was asking me and myself. I don't think so. I don't think that's why. I just think that the people just don't, they just don't want a guy like me there that's going to put that kind of pressure on them. If that's what they consider to be pressure, they don't want it.
Okay, we talk about you and your experience. What makes you separate yourself from the rest of the pack when we talk heavyweight boxing? Yes, you've got the age. Yes, you've got the experience. But what separates you?
Consistency. Consistent. I'm the same way now that I was when we started 13 years ago. Do you see any change in me?
No, I think you're still the same man. You're still given that same wisdom. You're still consistent.
My attitude, my persona.
You're still the same, Uncle Bashir.
Because it's hard to maintain consistency. You know, a lot of people in boxing or in this world, in acting and in the music industry, you might find this person to be this way today, and a year from now, 18 months from now, they've changed. They've changed considerably. But
I think you touch a really big point there, because I used to interview a lot of fighters. I mean, you know that yourself. I stopped doing it for the most part because I just found a lot of them very fake. That you do an interview with them today, and they'll ring your phone for an interview. And as soon as they make big time, Billy big time, they suddenly want to pretend they never spoke to you. They don't know who you are. I know that some of those fighters are corrupted by their public PR, public relations. And I know that for a fact because I know one of those public relation people, and I know how their mind operates. But it does the fighter no favors. It does the fighter no favors whatsoever. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to stick with talking to trainers because they're consistent. There's a lot of longevity with trainers, a lot more experience, and a lot more consistency.
you know, when I do things in boxing or in my life, I always want to be able to look at my children who are now adults.
Mm.
I always want to be able to look at them, my daughters, my sons, and I will always want to be able to answer them when I'm looking in their eyes and they're looking in my eyes, and I want to be asked. And when they ask me, "Father, did you do this?" or "Father, did you do that?" I'm gonna say, "No, I never did that." You understand? That means the world to me. That means everything to me. That my children respect me. You know, until the day I die, that my children respect me. So that's what the major motivation in my life is. That at the end of the day, I want my children to say that was my father. And my father was a good man. My father was a righteous man. My father did the right things. If I sold Latimer Klitschko or any other fighter that I work with, if I sold them down the drain for some money, then how could I face my children? You know, face my children after doing something like that. I'm a boxer, and in my mind, I'm one of the best out there. Hey, I got to be in the top 5. All right, I'd say there maybe 4.
Okay, let's go there then. Let's go there. If you're going to say you're in the top 5, who's the other 4 in that room? There's 5 people in that room. Whoa. Come
Oh,
on. You say 5. You only have 4 in the room.
no.
Cool.
If there's such a thing, I've got to be in that top 5.
Okay, you're in that top 5. Who else is in that top 5? Who are you putting yourself in the same room as?
I don't want to say.
Come on.
I don't want to say. No commercials here.
No commercials here. Hold on, we're going for a quick commercial break. Uncle, now you can tell us. Who's in the top 5?
No.
Uncle, you're gun shy. You can't pull the trigger. You can't pull the trigger anymore.
No, because it makes enemies. If I don't say
know.
name,
Somebody's name, then yeah, I get it.
Oh man, you didn't say my name, and you could have done this here, so I won't say nobody's name. But I'm saying, if there's such a thing, I'm in that 5. If you brought in 20 trainers and said, lay your cards on the table and question each one of us about the logistics of boxing, I'm sure I'm going to be in that top 5.
Okay. Of heavyweight boxing?
No, boxing, period.
Okay.
Because the knowledge doesn't change from one fight to another. It's the adjustments of application.
All right. Okay.
That's what changes.
Okay. All right. There are only, by the way, 13 years, Uncle. 13 years we've been talking.
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Damn. It feels like it was just yesterday. 13 years.
Yes. 13 years.
As they say in America, good gold. There are only rare cases where sacrificing your principles and humiliating yourself for someone else leads to success. Very rare, says Shook One. Good evening, Shook One. He goes on by saying, what are some signs that Mr. Bashir looks for to tell a fighter is overtraining, and what does he do to pull the fighter back? Uncle doesn't normally coach other coaches, so I'm not sure you'll even answer that question.
No.
But go ahead, Uncle.
I won't.
See what I mean?
No, because
I know you're coming from. I know exactly where you're coming from.
Because and then when you ask them about something, so I knew about that. I knew it all the time. You knew what all the time. I knew what you told. I knew how you was going to answer. So I don't put myself out there like that there, because it's like other people are getting fat off my table, off my knowledge. They're getting fat up, and then they'll come back and they won't even have enough respect to say, I got that from you. They won't even have that kind of respect.
No, I know exactly what that feels like. I know exactly what it feels like.
I think it's a cowardly thing to do. So I just keep what I have to myself until we get to the ring. When we get in the ring, then we'll see who knows what.
It's the bold-facedness of. It's the bold-facedness. When you know they've taken something that you've done or you've put together, and you've put A, B, C, D, F, and they've gone A, B, C, D, F, and you think to yourself, well, hold on, and you've packaged it like you did it.
Right.
I look at them going, and the bold-facedness of it as well. And I think to myself, how do you sleep at night doing that? And they're quite comfortable doing it.
Yeah, they do it all of the time. They do it all the time.
I don't understand.
I'm here at home, and I'll work with different boxers here.
Yeah.
10, 12, 13 fights. And while I'm working with the boxers, their trainers or so-called trainers, they'll interject some words or some teaching. Every other 2 minutes, they'll say, "Oh, do this here, or do that there, or move to the right, or move to the left." And I can recall the many times I worked under different trainers, Tom Parks, Lee Black, Sam Solomon, and Emmanuel Stewart, and they were there working with one of my guys, and the whole time they worked with those guys, I would be right there by ringside, and I would be watching and listening to what they were saying, because while they was trying to illustrate something to the boxer, I said, hell, I can learn too. So I was in a position where I was listening to what they were teaching the boxer when they was in the ring with them. I didn't say a word, but when I'm in the ring with the boxers here in my hometown, the trainers always, every other second, the trainer is saying, well, do this or do that or do this. They're talking over me. And I asked, I think it was last Wednesday or last Saturday, because I got a little annoyed. And I'm usually better than that. Usually I just let them talk, But I got a little annoyed because I felt that this guy is talking. I'm trying to talk, and he's talking, and Fox is not going to get the message.
No,
So I asked him, I said, hey, man, how old are you? He said, what? I said, how old are you? He said a number. I said, well, damn, man. I said, you the same age as my oldest son. Yeah, my oldest son. And I said, I can recall changing his messy diapers 2-3 times a day before his mother came home. I said, but must do about nothing. Come on, let's. So you think that he would learn something from that?
No.
You understand? I was sending him a subliminal
message.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're gonna have your baby back, but let me teach while I'm teaching. Stop talking. Stop interjecting. But these guys think that they're on the same level with me, despite the fact that they're younger people. I said, you're the same age as my son. I used to change his shitty diapers.
Yeah, but I actually think that happens 2 reasons. I think reason number 1 is a lack of understanding who is standing in front of you. When you understand who's standing in front of you, or the presence of who you're in front of, you have that respect to understand. I know my place. Yeah. This is where I shut up and I listen and I watch and I just shut up.
Egos.
Yeah, but
there are egos that won't let. There are egos that won't let them learn. That won't let them learn, and that's why they'll never go nowhere. They'll never go nowhere because they're not humble. They're not humble. They think that they know and they don't know, and they're making all kinds of mistakes. And I see it in the gyms. I observe and I see the little small mistakes that will keep a guy back.
I get that. I really get that. I really get that. I could give you a very quick example of in my sport where there's got some really great old time like legends. And when I see like one of them was actually I was on the same course as them. I had their book, in fact, what the course I was on. And when I saw them afterwards outside, they'll just stand up there smoking, have a cigar. I went, excuse me, sir. Because I knew what I was looking at. There was history there. I knew how great they were, how great they were, how great they are. And the minute you see that and you're in front of that greatness, it doesn't intimidate you, but you respect it so much. You just want to listen to everything they've got to say. But that's because I know their history of where that person's come from. I didn't see them play all the time, but I know enough to see what they've achieved and what they've done. I mean, had I not known their history, then I could play ignorant and just, my ego could be out of check and all the rest of it.
Oh man, it's just
But
much.
because the history of knowing that person, so if they're in the same gym as you and they don't know who you are, like your history, your legacy, what you've done, what you've achieved, who you are currently, and their ego is not in check, I mean,
It
they're a problem.
matter. It does not matter. These people, they know who I am, but they want to be.
But do they know who you are?
They know who I am, but
No,
they
no,
want
no, no. Do they know who you are, or do they know what they want to know of you? There's a difference.
they
It's,
want to
it's,
they want to compete with me, and I get that.
yeah, but that's because they feel they're on the same level as you, which you've just said.
They want to compete with me, but they don't have the tools to compete with me. They don't have the knowledge, the tools to compete with me.
Well, would you let them just crash against the wall and then let them crash, and when they crash against the wall, then possibly pick them up afterwards?
They don't understand. That's why I left here in the first place. That's why I became a globetrotter. That's why I wound up in South Africa.
Where's Uncle gone? Oh, there you are. You were there and you've gone, and then Uncle's just disappeared for a moment. He'll be right back. He hasn't gone too far. Oh, right. Uncle will be back in a moment. Let's put some music on and wait for Uncle to come back. I think he's back. There we go. Adding to the stream. And telephone call, Uncle, maybe?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And, they know who I am, but they're so anxious to compete. They want to stick their chest out, say, "Oh, I got by. I did this to James Ali Bashir. I did that to James Ali." Doesn't mean anything to me, because I know that they'll be in a small little circle by themselves years from now in the same place, because they won't grow. They won't grow. You got to be in a position where you're able to keep quiet and listen to grow. Keep quiet and listen. That's how you grow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was with Emmanuel for those 17 years.
But hold on. But you had knowledge yourself, though. So why you had knowledge yourself? You didn't just arrive at Emmanuel Stewart's door. You had experience yourself.
Yeah, because I had knowledge. I got knowledge from other trainers.
Yeah, so then you could have had your ego could have gone out of control.
Yeah, I could have gone out of control. But I said,
why didn't it?
I was in Don King's camp when Jonathan Banks came to get me. He came to get me from Don King's camp to take me to the Croc Gym. He came to Cleveland, Ohio. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in Don King's camp. I did a couple of cameo appearances with Emmanuel. All right. But when we made the pact, when we made the deal, he sent Jonathan Banks to retrieve me from Don King's camp in Orwell, Ohio. Emmanuel told me to come get you, saddle up, get your bags, and let's go. And at the time, Don King wanted me to stay there in that camp. So I had to decision to make. Do I stay here with Don or do I go with Emmanuel? And because Emmanuel was globetrotting, I said, I'm going with Emmanuel. You know, I'm going with Emmanuel. But I could have fared just as well if I had stayed with Don King.
Okay. Shook asked the question of you. Mr. Bashir made it clear. The information is classified, information disseminated on need-to-know basis. Talking earlier. Then goes on, in tribal society, Leif Gramerson says, elders are respected for wisdom. In modern world, there is ageism. He continues by saying, great point, Ingram. People are ignorant of James Allen Bashir's work behind the scenes.
There are a lot of people that are behind the scenes, you know, in every business. And people will look at one individual and they think the individual did it by itself, but there's so many people, so many other nuts and bolts behind the scene that gets that person to that place.
When people talk about other trainers, particularly younger trainers, what should they consider when they're talking about you and other trainers? Like, talk us through the mindset of a fan. So walk us through what your boxing trainer should look like in terms of, like, how do you open the minds up of a boxing fan so they can be better educated in what a elite trainer should look like, not what the television tells us the elite trainer looks like.
One thing that I see with the modern trainers, they don't make adjustments. They can't. They're not capable of making adjustments because most of the trainers, when they take on a boxer, they don't consider that at some point they're gonna run into a brick wall. They're gonna have to improvise, and they're not prepared for that in most cases. For instance, recently with Tony Yoka, if you watch the Tony Yoka fight, Tony Yoka, in my mind, got beaten up, and nobody in the corner made any adjustments. There was no adjustments made. They didn't say time up. They didn't say back up, go to him. You know, there were no adjustments made to help the situation because round after round after round after round, the same thing happened over and over. And I said, well, why don't they make the adjustment? Why don't they tell them to do something to make an adjustment to take away that jab from him, take this right hand from him? It never came to pass. So, you know, you got a case for and against, where people just don't know. So they'll latch on to a trainer. Oh, this guy's a good trainer. I see on the internet where they be saying, if you had to choose 5 trainers, you know, most of the people chose 5 trainers from this era or the era just passed. But they don't say nothing about the eras from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Why? Because they don't have no knowledge. They don't have no knowledge of it. Nobody is here to teach the boxers now. So I appreciate it now at my older age, because I don't want the boxers that don't listen. I don't want that boxers that don't listen. It's like a double job in one. You know, I'm trying to teach a person. The person is telling me more than they taking in their own. Oh man, the person is talking more than they're listening. I've got a person in front of me, in most cases 25, 30, 35 years old, and they're telling me what to do, and I'm old enough to be their dad, and I'm saying, why am I here? It makes boxing uninteresting to me when they're not listening.
It's not a very nice process. Not a nice process.
Tony Yoka is a nice guy. And I think that Tony Yoka can be a really, really good talent. But he needs a teacher. All right.
Mhm.
He needs a teacher.
Okay. Uh, what about Trevor Bryant? Does he need a teacher? Could you help Trevor Bryant?
Stacy McKinley is a boxing mind, an astute boxing mind.
Mm.
Um, Maybe Trevor Bryant missed out on some of the jewels that I know
Stacey has.
that Stacy imparted with him.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy that I saw in that ring uh, versus
Dubois.
boys, Dubois,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that I saw in the ring is the same guy I saw in the fight before Dubois.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that. I said if the same guy shows up to fight Dubois, he's gonna get knocked out. Didn't I tell you?
You did. And I agreed with you in that point. If that same guy showed up,
But
and he did.
I went to watch the fight. Vlad Sarenko and I was ringside and we watched the fight. And I said if the same guy showed up to fight Dubois, he would get knocked out. The same guy showed up. He didn't look like the heavyweight champion. All right? He did not look like the heavyweight champion. And I'm not being overly critical of him. My words is just to spur, to ignite a fire under Trevor Bryant. If he wants to be a boxer, be a boxer. If he doesn't, if he wants to do a sidewalk act, he can go on Broadway and be a sidewalk walker. You know what I'm saying? But don't go in the ring, acting like a champion or imitating a champion.
Yeah.
Because he looked bad. He looked terrible. He got mopped up. All right, he got beat up,
Very bad. Really bad.
and then you flat on your face on the floor.
He said afterwards, he said, I've fought for a long time. I've been unbeaten for many years. He said to Dubois, he said, "Oh man, now you got the belt." He says, "Well, you know what? I want to come back and I want to come to England. I want another shot at you."
He wants to go to England now.
He wants a shot at Dubois, a rematch.
Okay. And Lee Black would always tell the opponents in the locker room, they said, "Oh man, get that guy back." Lee said, "You just had him. You just had him. What do you mean get him back? You got what's going to happen 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, and you just had the guy. Now you have a fight with a guy on Monday, and then you won't fight until next year Monday on the same date. In the 50s and 60s, you fight this Monday, and then you fight 2 Mondays from now, the same guy. They're just not, boxing is not what it was. Boxing is not what it was because there's no urgency. They get paid paid a lot of money, so there's no urgency to fight. He said he wants to go to England to fight Dubois. I don't see what's going to be any different. You didn't make any kind of impression to say that the outcome of the next fight would be different. There was no indication that it would be any different. So why would they fight you again? For what?
Easy payday. I don't know. So let me ask you this question. How do you feel when trainers are thrown in your face or you're ignored? Let's say, oh, well, if Anthony Joshua needs a trainer, then maybe Shane McGuigan, Adam Booth, let's think, who else? Dave Caldwell, Teddy Atlas, Robert Garcia, the usual names, Freddie Roach. What is it? How do you feel when those names are mentioned?
They're not better than me. They're not better than me. Good trainers that they might be, but they're not better than me. They don't. I don't think they even love the sport the way I love the sport. I don't
Can you
think.
can you substantiate that though?
Huh?
Can you actually justify your statement? I mean, I have to ask the question. I've asked the question unbiasedly.
If given the opportunity, I mean, those people that they just mentioned, how many of those guys took a guy from scratch? Can you name one of them that took the guy from scratch? I've had Maurice Harris from the very beginning. Early on in his career, the latter part of his career was nothing because he didn't want it.
Okay.
But I had him from the very beginning, 14, 15 years old. I've had Vlad Sarenko from the very inception of his career. Now Vlad Sarenko is 19-0 with 16 KOs. But those 5 years were painstaking years. Painstaking years. Just staying undefeated was a challenge. You know? That's tough to go 5 years and don't get a single streak stain on your record. So those trainers that you just mentioned, how many of them have taken a fighter from scratch? I don't think many of them. I don't think many of them. I don't think, is there one of them? Maybe who?
I don't know who Freddie Roach has taken from scratch.
I don't think nobody. I don't think nobody. So it's easy to come in and say, Freddie Roach, people hear a name and say, he must be a good trainer. But that's not the case. All you have to do is just go and watch their work. You can have anybody in the corner shouting directions, throw the hook, use your jab, counter with your right hand. Anybody can say that. But how many of them are impressionable enough to get the job done? See, that's what I mean about that boxing. A boxing trainer is there, tooth and nail, trying to get a guy to stand right, to get his balance right. You understand? To use the jab when the jab is applicable. But a lot of times, they tell me you got to use the jab, and he's getting countered with right hands every time he uses the jab. So that's not a time. That's the time when the jab is non-applicable. Don't use the jab. Use the feint. Use the feint. Then throw the jab. But you've got to make those adjustments in your mind before you even talk to the fighter. When the fighter's out there making mistakes, by the time he gets back to that corner, you should have your story straight in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So a lot of guys the guys you just mentioned, how many of those guys took a guy from scratch? I got Vlad Sarenko when Vlad Sarenko virtually knew nothing. He was just coming from the amateurs. He knew how to stand up. He knew how to throw some punches, but strategy is what makes the fighter. I can hardly wait to put Vlad Sarenko in a fight where everybody can see what I got, what I've made, what I've labored to make. I'm waiting, for our opportunity. Again, I'm asking you, Adam Booth, Shane McGuigan, Teddy Atlas, Freddie Roach, how many of these guys have taken a guy from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's when you could tell the knowledge, how good a trainer is, how good a teacher, then a trainer.
Ingram, this guy hasn't been given the chance. You should be questioning why the guy is in a bag of tricks. They're not worth his time. Goes on to say, including AJ, who can't make his mind up, like a kid in a store. Oh dear.
Well, he's kind of right. I mean, he's kind of right. I would look at. I mean, man, AJ. Maybe AJ hasn't realized it, but this is a do or die fight. He's got to win this fight. He's got to win this.
He goes on too honest. He says, "You're too honest." That's the issue. They want all yes men in the corner.
That too. I noticed that in a lot of corners. They want yes men. When I laugh, everybody laughs. When I cry, everybody cries. So he has a point. There's a lot of yes men in a lot of corners. And anybody with eyes can see it.
What
one of them.
What are the telltale signs of a yes man corner? Apart from brilliant, AJ, brilliant. Apart from that, say brilliant and AJ's getting his head jabbed off, but it's okay. Let's continue.
Just
what are the signs? What do boxing fans have to look at to know if a team's got yes men in it?
Look on the internet, you'll see them all the time.
What does yes man look like? Describe him.
When the guy wipes the sweat off, before the sweat hit the floor, he's got a towel there to get it. Yeah.
That's caring, is it not? Is that not caring? That's a towel, man.
That's
They do that in interviews to make you yes man, does it? Like when the fighter wins the fight, he's doing a press conference, he's doing an interview, and the guy comes and puts a towel in. So they don't mean that he's a yes man. It just means he's wiping the sweat off his face. I'm being facetious, but yeah,
It's hell a yes man. When somebody's tap dancing all over the other people that's around, tap dancers, foot shufflers.
What's a foot shuffler, Uncle? That was one of the times of blackface, was it? Oh, God.
I'm just glad to be glad to be here.
Oh, no, don't say that on the channel.
I'm just glad to be here. That's look. In all seriousness,
I'm glad to be here. Yes,
there are a lot of yes men. Yes men in all levels of boxing. I wouldn't want no yes men around me. It wouldn't please me at all to have yes men around me. Boxers need people around them to tell them, say, hey man, don't do that. Hey man, you're messing up. Hey man, you're messing up. You need to do this. You need to do that. This is the best thing for you. The best asset a boxer can have is somebody that's going to tell you to your face that this is what you need, man. But people are so afraid so afraid to lose favor with people that they won't say nothing. They won't say nothing.
Describe to me a training camp that the fighter is running the camp and not the trainer. What does that look like?
When the boxer tells him the sky is red, and everybody says, I agree. The sky is red. That's what it looks like. It looks like a bunch of people around that's just agreeing with him to win favor. Instead of somebody saying, no, man, the sky is blue. I said, no, the sky is red. So you stay here and tell these guys the sky's red. I see the sky being blue. Gotta be a man And there are not a lot of men in the world, because men stand up and make their points. Anthony Joshua's got to win this fight, okay? Bottom line, got to win this fight. You know, he's got to win this fight. If he doesn't, look, if he doesn't win another fight in his life, he's got to win this one.
If he doesn't win this fight, what happens? If he gets knocked out in this fight, what happens?
Oh man, it's just not good. I don't even want to think about him getting knocked out. I don't want to think about Alexander Usyk getting knocked out. I just want to see two guys box. I want see two guys go out there and put their best foot forward and give the people in boxing and the fans a fight to remember. You know, but they got it. But, you know, Anthony Joshua is in a position where he has to win. He has to win the fight. Because if he loses the fight, then he can come back if he wants to. But it'll be some severe damage done to him, you know. It'll be some severe damage.
Do you think he's recovered from the Andy Ruiz loss?
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. He might still have damage from that, psychological damage.
Do you think he's improved in his career since he's turned pro to now?
Yes. He has some deficiencies. He still has some deficiency, but he has definitely improved.
Okay. Leif says, Joe McClellan is a message from history about bad trainers, a personal opinion.
Say that again, please.
He says, Joe McClellan is a message from history about bad trainers, a personal opinion.
Oh, man, there's so many messages before that about bad trainers. You know, there's so many messages before that. Bad trainers, oh, my God. This sport has always had bad trainers. They always find a way to get into those corners.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because the boxer himself has got to be more educated about choosing people who walks up those stairs with him. Their lives are on the line. Those people in the corner, they got your life in their hands. You know, they've got to be able to have telltale information, telltale signals that something is wrong, and be able to get in there and stop that fight before it's too late. So when you take these guys to go up the stairs, you know, sometimes the boxers themselves be yes men. You know, I got the best corner in the world. You do? Oh man, it's exhausting.
Here's this. Weather Events and Fire says Robert Garcia is not going to make AJ beat Usyk. It's the wrong guy. Sorry. AJ needs a word for himself for that. Tap himself on the shoulder. He's adding potatoes to a fruit salad. Doesn't work. Your thoughts?
In my opinion, Robert Garcia is the wrong man for the job. All right.
Okay.
Good as trainer might be, he's the wrong man for that job.
Okay. Take yourself out the equation.
I mean, you push. I got to tell you, AJ chose Garcia, but I think that Garcia is the wrong guy for the job. I just think he's all wrong for the job. He's all wrong. You can't take a guy like AJ and try to teach him a Mexican style, I think they said.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be problems, man. I just feel there's going to be problems. All right.
Just to close, Uncle, if AJ's watching this video now, he's watching this video, and you're going to send a message to him. You're looking down the camera. You're looking down camera one, by the way. Camera one, you would just send a message to AJ. What would that message be to AJ?
Get your shit together, man. You know better. You know in your heart and soul. at nighttime in that room, you got to know that this guy is not the right guy. All right? Don't go out there gambling, send the man home. Tell him no hard feelings. I thought he was the right guy, but no, you're not the right guy. He's not the right guy. You're going to get in trouble. Got to be talking to himself. You got to be ready. That guy's not going to get you ready. That's all I'm saying. Get yourself together. Give me a call. Let's get this on the road. You ain't got that much time. I'm telling you. I can help him immensely.
We all know that. Everybody knows that. Just like everybody knew that Joshua should not have tried to box Usyk, apart from Joshua.
We talked about it before the fight.
I know.
I made mention of it before the fight. What is it?
Because he says he don't need to waste his time. Bashir, thank you for everything. You're looking well. Oh God. People have given hope.
Look, Anthony Joshua has some valid tools, but they're just like tools sitting in a garage collecting dust and spider webs and stuff, cobwebs all over. You understand? You got to take the tools out the garage, dust them off, and you put them to use.
Continues by going, makes me think someone is involved making decisions. AJ is a fool.
Oh, man.
Oh, before you finish, the top, Kronk, where'd you get it from?
I got this from Germany years ago.
Years ago? How many years ago?
Years.
Well, are we talking while Emmanuel's still alive years ago?
It's somebody in Germany. It was a Kronk gym in Germany. It was a Kronk gym in Germany, and they gave me this shirt.
Where's the Precision Craft one?
I got one somewhere around here.
You got next time we do an interview, wear Precision Craft.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. I like the jacket as well.
Oh yeah.
I'll start wearing that, Uncle.
Yeah, I wear it all the time. I give everybody a blast. I was part of the team one time.
Goes here.
Those were good years.
What, the Kronk days?
Yeah, those were good years.
This guy looks after his shirts. I wish mine looked like that.
Yeah. I got a whole array of shirts. You gotta
start wearing them. I think you gotta start wearing the Precision Crafts.
Yeah.
You really do.
I wear them every day. I got a stack of them to get ready to go to the wash. I have to go to the wash.
So final words, Uncle, for tonight for us.
Boxing will live. Even through the bad times, boxing will live. I got to a conversation today, and the guy kept stressing to me that Adrian Broner was a 4th division champion. I said, okay, yeah, I understand that. We're living in a time where 4th division, 5th division, 6th division is possible. But by the way, who did Adrian Broner beat for those 4 titles?
I can't even remember now.
One of them.
I think one of them may have been Malinaji. I think Malinaji was one of them he beat. That's it.
Malinaji.
That's it. Can't remember the rest of the guys.
But we're in a time where you can have 4 or 5 titles. I just want to know the guys he beat. Who did he beat for those titles? And one of the titles that he won, he came off a loss to fight another guy who had come off a loss to win another title. You explain that to me.
It's crazy.
Adrian Broner had just lost to
Maidana?
No, he had lost to
Porter.
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 He come off a Porter loss to fight another guy who had came off a loss to fight for a world title. That's where one of those titles came from.
Well, look at Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois got beat by Joe Joyce, but Daniel Dubois fights for the world title before Joe Joyce does.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with.
He goes, that logic would take Canelo apart.
What logic?
You don't have to get him to explain that.
I think that he's going to Triple G this time.
What's that?
I think that Canelo is finally going to beat Triple G this time.
People saying the idea, the thinking is that he'll stop GGG this time because he's older.
Yeah, I think so too.
But if the fight's a super middleweight, then GGG might be a little stronger.
I don't care. He's going to stop him.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's going to stop him.
Okay. All right, Uncle. So we'll talk soon, I guess.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I always look forward to it. If we talk,
looking at the opposition and not simply the titles held. Yeah, this is looking at the opposition, not the titles held. That's what you meant. It's the logic in terms of belts.
I'm so sick of this stuff, man. I never thought that I'd be looking forward to the day that I retire from boxing.
Wow.
It's just, oh man, it's so many things wrong with boxing. So many things, and it's getting worse each day. It's getting worse each day.
Yeah, it is.
Boxing from the 60s and 70s. That was my heydays, the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can squeeze the 80s in there, you know. But that was it. The 60s, 70s, and 80s was my heyday inside the boxing. That was the good times, the good days.
Yeah.
Where you had good, honest boxers and good, honest boxing matches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uncle, thank you so much. A pleasure. 13 years. I still can't believe it. 13 years we've been talking.
13 years was gone past.
I appreciate it, Uncle. I really do.
Uno numero. You know, you're uno numero for me.
Thank you, Uncle. I appreciate that. You're number one as well.
Yes.
Take care, Uncle. Have a good night.
Yes, you do.
Take care.
Yes, sir.